The Halfbrick Show.
Hello and welcome back to the Halfbrick Show. I'm Aiden, and as always, Carmen's here with me. Very excited about today's episode, as usual. Last week, we started our interview with Toni from the art team, and this week, we're continuing that interview. So you can expect those community questions, our usual jokes, and a little mention of new Easter eggs. One, maybe? Maybe?
Two. Thank you so much, Aiden. And yeah, let's just get back into it.
So good.
So after these 12 years at Halfbrick, which I'm pretty sure that it's 12 years because I kind of checked in our HR calendar before this episode, is there a particular moment where you thought, wow, I really helped make that come true? You know, that moment when you realize that your work is kind of bigger than yourself, that it has expanded?
Good question. I think I had that feeling at the end of every project. When you are working on a project, you don't have time to be thinking on that, and you are just focused on creating assets and creating stuff. But when you finish a game, every time you have the same feeling. It's like you see that all the pieces are coming together. You see the work not only from art, from all the designers, the programmers, everyone is apporting to the game. Everything makes one, and where you are playing and you see that on the story is an incredible feeling, because it looks like, wow, we did it. It's like a little miracle, you know?
Yeah. Start to
You
finish.
don't need like a little grace period where you don't play the game or you don't interact with it anymore before coming to that moment?
Good question. I don't know. When we are releasing a game, I think is when I play it the most, because I was to be pretty sure that everything is perfect, even if we had the QA session and all the bugs are fixed and everything. I'm always saying, this sprite is not that good. I want to change this, and and I'm playing like a lot. And when I stop playing the game is when I jump to another project. I have to forget that to be focused on the other thing. And when the times passes, I go back to the game and I can enjoy it better. It's like, I didn't remember this or that. So that's the sweetest moment, probably.
Yeah. No, I'm glad that happens to you as well, because every time I finish a project, I want to lock it in the basement and never look at it ever again. Which
I feel like for customer support, it's the opposite, because you see it more once it's out, because you're supporting live players for a lot of games.
That's
like I didn't play much Dan the Man before Halfbrick, but now I see Dan the Man every day. You know what I mean?
You
it's
close your eyes and you see Dan the Man.
Yeah. Okay, so on Dan the Man still, Toni, in the past, is there a piece of advice you could go back and give yourself when you first started working on that game up?
I don't know. Probably, I mean, I started with 31 years old to work on the games industry. So I think it's a bit late comparing with most of the people I'm knowing now and most of the artists that are joining to the company. But this is how it went. So if I had to do to give advice to a younger Toni, I will say start drawing earlier. You can work doing video games, because back in the day I never thought I will be working on video games. I like to play video games back in the day, but I didn't thought about working on that. So my advice will be stop looking at the magazines and start drawing,
Get in there earlier. Right. I mean, yeah, that's pretty good, actually. I didn't think that would go. Yeah, because like, did you say what you'd started doing before that then? before getting into the art itself? Like, what were you doing work-wise, if you don't mind saying?
I work in a lot of different places. I had tons of different jobs, but never related with video games. So
Wow.
I was like, video games was like a hobby to me. I was drawing little sprites here and there, but never thought about working on that. I had a blog. Do you remember what a blog is, guys?
We are young, but we are not that young, you know?
No, I'm joking. But I remember having a blog and I was talking there about video games a lot. Like my little game journalists were trying to write down there a lot of things. And I started working on creating some little tutorials about pixel art. But it was most for me because I was learning and I was sharing my learnings, but everything was really basic back in the day. But yeah, I think it was just a hobby. When I was working, for example, in a warehouse moving boxes, I was thinking all the time, I want to go home and draw this, create some sprites. So I was really motivated with that. And maybe that energy back in the day drove me here. I don't know.
Yeah, something must have clicked, right? Because you did get here. So, really cool. Thanks.
Yeah. And do you draw now outside of the job?
Oh.
That's a good question.
No, but that's something I genuinely want to know.
That's a good question. I don't draw as much as I should. That's the truth. But because I think my profile now is not just an artist, I'm a generalist developer, I would say. So I'm interested in art, but I'm also interested in game dev, in design a lot. I'm interested in a little bit of programming. So I have so many interests right now related with video games that is not allowing me to focus only in drawing. That I think, I don't know if it's good or bad. It's just my profile, I think we need different profiles, and we also need people that it's only artists, only drawing, really talented artists, only focus on that. So it depends. There are a lot of different profiles related with video games.
Thank you. That's quite interesting. Also makes me feel better about not drawing a lot outside of the job. So thank you.
I try. I have to say that I'm trying.
I try as well. I just my Steam wishlist is always calling me. It's like a siren song.
Oh no!
Have to choose play video games or do video games.
You don't have that problem. Yes, basically. So, well, thank you so much for putting up with our questions, especially mine. But we have also asked people in the community if they had any questions. So we're going to move on to those right now.
Other than the obvious question, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, of course, which we will also ask. We will also ask. So be prepared. But guys, that one is coming in later. Maybe if you had to ask that one, you aren't such a Halfbrick Show fan, just saying. But well, thank you to everyone that has sent in questions. Of course, as always, we would love to read them all, but we need to make a selection because Toni has way more important stuff to do than be sitting around here all day with us, even though we would love that. So the first question comes from Alexa 3D with 2 X's, and they are asking, what if you could tell us what was the mechanics that the devs spent the most time trying to do right, and I guess how that was related with the art?
That's a good question too. I don't know. Related with mechanics, I would say anything related with the controls, probably. The jumps, the springboards, and even the controls in the UI, where to put your fingers. Because one of the main things where we were working on demand is that we had to make the game feel like you were playing a console game, but it's on a touch screen. So it's really difficult to control. So as you can see, the game is really simplified in that sense. So you don't have up and down. You only have left and right. That was a limitation that we did on purpose. It's like it has to be easy to control because you are not using a D-pad, like in a console. And I remember the designers spending a lot of time testing the controls over and over again, making a lot of tiny adjustments. And at some points, everything started to feel right. And also, if you don't like, you can go to options, to the settings, and you can move a little bit all the buttons here and there. But yeah, I remember that we spent a lot of time to make it feel as better as possible.
And that was more working around touchscreens itself, yeah. Okay.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah. I'll admit, DTM's like the first platform where I ever like played with a touchscreen. So I respect it for that, for still being fun. I don't know.
It was a challenge. It was a challenge because there were not too many examples on mobile back then.
No.
So yeah, I remember every people joining the team back in the day, everyone was saying, "Hey, why we don't have up and down in the controls?" Or everyone we were repeating the same. But at the end, I think it was a good decision.
Yeah. We had a designer crying about the controls and the others crying about the Apple sprite. It's hard work.
Yeah. Everyone was crying for some reason.
I've got another question from Kindana as well. They want to know if the custom character has a name. And I guess if they don't, do you have a name for the custom character?
His name I will share with all you, so you will know something new. He's called Custom Character. He doesn't have a name. I mean, he was created because in Dan, in the show, it's like Dan is a avatar of somebody that is playing a game, no? So we wanted to share that with a generic character, so everyone can build his own character or can represent herself or himself in the game. So yes, we didn't want to add a name or create a new character for the lore of the story. It's just, do you want to play with your character? Here you have. But for now, he doesn't have a clear name.
Okay.
Well, mine's called Carmen.
Sense.
Yeah, so Kindana, call it Carmen if you want.
You can call it, Kindana. You can call it Kindana if you want.
Yeah.
It's, actually never gave my custom a name. Oh, that's sad now. I'm going to have to go think of one. I feel bad.
Yeah, you can use custom if you want.
Yeah, it might just be custom, but like in a cool nickname kind of way.
Maybe it's like CC for custom character.
Yeah. Not the brand of chips in Australia.
What?
It's a brand of chips. It's really good, like corn chips. They're really good.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, when we get off the air, you have to tell me all about that, because I don't even know what a corn chip is.
Oh, it's like a Dorito, surely. Anyway.
Well, the next question is from Cool Team YT, and they are asking, how did you get the inspiration for the series art style? And I think this also, considering what we've been talking before, I think it would be especially interesting related to the enemies and the new elements that were in the animated series originally. Because I imagine that for Dan and Josie, the inspiration was just Dan and Josie in the original series.
Yeah, the inspiration was the series, so that will be a good question maybe for the creator of the IP. But, well, I think that the game is heavily based on 16-bit console games back in the day, like Mega Drive, Super Nintendo, and so. That games that try to evoke that nostalgia of that era. So, I don't know. I don't know how to answer this question, because the inspiration was the show. I was really interested in everything I created an asset for the game. I was thinking that it should fit on the show. So if I draw something as is not fitting in a chapter of the show, then I failed and I started again. So that was the way I was working on that. Is like, okay, that can fit in the show. Yes, no, okay, let's put it in or out.
Yeah,
I mean... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that kind of makes sense. It's just fitting the show style, which is, I mean, to nail that, though, that's impressive.
I can think games. I was checking back in the day also a lot of references of retro games like platform games and to get inspiration of I had to draw different things that were not in the show. So I was checking all the time older games for from Mega Drive or other games, you know. So yeah, I was all the time looking for retro games references. So if you recognize something that reminds you of some old video game, maybe I got some inspiration from each of those. I don't know.
Well, we had another question from Micro asking about the inspiration behind Dan and Josie, which obviously maybe a bit more of a question for the creator, but those movements and like you just said, was there a particular? Could you like name drop a game in particular from like the Mega Drive? Or?
I don't remember. Yeah, it's been a long time, but yeah, I remember watching a lot of different games. But I remember, for example, some Japanese games that has similar styles or arcade games that back in the day were 2D platformers that were quite similar to Dan. Yeah, sometimes not only platformers. I remember that, for example, we were watching a lot Metal Slug, but Metal Slug is a really way more complex pixel art. It's crazy. Maybe it's the top style for pixel art. And the style of Dan is really, really much simple. So, but yeah, any reference was really helpful to get references, to watch some animations, and learn how to do some stuff. But yeah, mostly Mega Drive, Super Nintendo games, arcade games, and mostly platformers.
Mostly platformers, yeah. I for some reason I think of like a Streets of Rage type, almost Battletoads for some reason. Just I know it's not a beat 'em up in that sense, but it reminds me of them.
Dan is a mix between a platformer and a beat 'em up, so it's not just a platformer. That I think that's one of the points that the reason because Dan is so unique because there are games similar to Dan but not so much. I can think, for example, on Guacamelee. Did you play that game? That is kind of
I haven't played much, but yeah,
it's a platformer, Metroidvania, but it also have combat like beat 'em up as the details. But there are not so many games like that. So yeah, we were getting references also Street of Rage, Final Fight, and all these type of games to see some moves, how the way the characters are punching or kicking or whatever. Yeah, we watch a lot of references from a lot of different games.
Yeah, nice.
You ever put any kind of Easter egg or like purposeful reference in the art?
Probably. I'm pretty sure that I did, but I forgot completely. But I'm pretty sure I did some of those. I always do that. For example, like I can share one of not of Dan, but if you want, I can share one with you in Jetpack Joyride 2. I hide Kobe. Kobe is a mascot of Barcelona Games, Olympic Games, 92.
Oh, all right.
We'll drop a picture.
Okay.
I'll make sure that we put a picture because
we had a mascot that is really weird, you know, is a really weird character. And I remember that I hide that character in a boss, like a mark in the boss body.
Oh.
But I never told anyone, so you are the first one to know it. I let you try to find it if you want. And if you are not succeeding to find it, I can share it with you if you want at some point.
I think the listeners should try and find it.
I remember that in Jetpack Joyride because it's more recent than Dan, but I'm pretty sure that I did stuff like that in Dan, but I don't remember honestly.
I wasn't expecting that. That was so random.
Yeah, completely random.
Oh, well, I'll look for it later, and I'll definitely invite all of our listeners to do it. Let's just say that Toni chose the better Olympic mascot because we also had another one called Curro, which I'll also drop a picture in the chat, and that could have been way worse.
I love Curro, I have to say too. If you want more details, it was hidden in a mini boss of Jetpack Joyride 2, okay?
Okay.
Hey,
Okay.
we'll
Okay.
we'll have to search for it. And well, in the meantime, we have a final question from Bruce, has asked one of the best questions today. I have to say, one of the most difficult. If you were Dan, would you survive the entire game or series? Honestly,
Probably not. I probably wouldn't make it past the Dark Master. So yeah, no.
That's a realistic answer. I don't think any of us
Mm.
would.
Yeah, I will reach
Unless
Dark
Carmen,
Master,
you could.
and I will say no. I go back to the first level, and I will stay there forever.
Fair. I wouldn't move. The moment the game starts and it says go, I'd be like, no.
You will walk to the other way, no?
Yeah. You never, just enter the shop and stay in the shop. Couldn't be that bad. You got shelter.
That's a good one.
if you're an NPC, you enter the shop, just stay there, and then Dan will do the dirty work for you. That doesn't seem so bad.
Exactly.
Or you can ask the custom character to do the job if you want.
Yeah.
Wow, I've just seen these mascots from the Olympics. Are they in order, Carmen? Is Kobe the one on the left?
Yeah.
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 Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, listeners, you'll see that, and let's keep an eye out. I guess
Kobe
that's actually so cool.
like a great work of design. Like he was made by a very good designer. It's amazing. Please search for his job and Kuro as well. These are from when I was a kid, so these are close to me. It's just
good to know because I'm feeling really old today.
No, it's okay. I had a
Carmen,
plushie.
no.
I had a plushie.
I have a plushie too from Sevilla Expo 92.
Yeah, probably it's the same one. Probably it's the same one. But yeah, just bear in mind that for the Spanish listeners, like the 2 Spanish listeners that we have, we see you and we represent you.
We are thinking of you guys.
All right. Well, thank you, the community. Again, obviously, we just had the questions. We do have our usual game of guessing the community comment. And we're going to see how you go with this one. Honestly, we've been on a pretty rough streak, if I remember correctly, Carmen. I don't know. I could be completely wrong and misremembering the order of these episodes, but I feel like we've lost a couple in a row.
Yeah.
In terms of we try to trick you, right? And the guests have been getting it right. So I kind of hope you get this one wrong, Toni, but it'd be great if you win. Okay, so I'm going to read off the comment and you tell me if it's a real one or a fake one that we've made up.
Okay.
The comment is, quote, Dan's sprite sheet be doing more acting than half of Hollywood. End quote. Is that real or fake?
I think it's fake.
Another week lost.
I'm
no,
really
you're
bad at
right.
those.
You're right. You're right. I lost. I tried to trick you.
How could you tell that it was fake?
Yeah. What gave it away?
Okay.
Was it,
you have more?
No,
it's just the one actually.
Just one. Okay, I thought it was like a list of different ones. Okay.
No.
This
used to be difficult.
Yeah, we must be getting. Must be getting pretty rusty at my age of making these comments. Ridiculous. But congratulations, Toni. I'm sorry, you did win fair and square. Congratulations. I need a win again next week. Next week.
Thank you.
Good.
Poor Aiden. Well, I'm so sorry. So sorry we lost again. But I think that for this next question, everyone wins, which is the most difficult bonus question we have in all of the interview. No, I'm lying. I think the next one after this is probably the one that we usually get told it's the hardest. But yeah, Toni, where is Tandeman 2?
Good question. I can answer saying that will be probably most of the comments on this video. So that probably will be my answer.
So he's in the comments. That's
you can find answers in the comments probably.
It's the look of fear of someone who actually has more information than the average guest on where Dan the Man 2 might be. You never know. You never know. Oh,
I don't know.
okay. Thank you. That's didn't Elliot say Dan's in his basement as well recently? Was that
I
Elliot?
don't know. Maybe Dan came back from his holiday and just decided to chill at Elliot's basement, and then went back to Git. I don't know. We haven't been keeping track of him lately.
No, we really should start keeping
I guess
track.
he's moving into the comments now. Maybe he's tweeting. Maybe he's tweeting from Elliot's basement. That's it.
Knows?
So
you never know. All right, Toni. Honestly, you're a champion for sitting through the whole recording so far. Thank you so much. We have one last question. We just want to know, and it might be a big one, like Carmen just said. What's one thing that your times in the games industry taught you that wasn't in the job description?
Wow. That's a really difficult one, yeah.
Just a light, easy question.
Yeah, to finish, no? I don't know. Probably I would say that you have to be always open to keep learning forever. I mean, it's not like I'm an artist, I get the job, it's done. No. That's just the beginning. Probably it's harder to stay there and be up to date all the time than getting the job. So yeah, you just can't stop evolving. And the game industry is so volatile, as you can see today, that a lot of companies are having problems. There is too many people trying to work on this. So yeah, you have to be aware to be all the time trying to learn anything new you have in front. Yeah, don't forget that this is a very passionate work and very creative work, and you have to be as motivated as you can always.
Dang, that's a great answer. That's a perfect answer.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you actually for joining us and for sitting through all of this. So congratulations, the torture has ended.
No, it was pretty fun. Thank you for that.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
It's really fun to remember things about Dan the Man.
Yeah. And now I am obsessed about finding that Easter egg in Jetpack Joyride 2. So thank you for giving me something to think about for the rest of the day. Maybe
My pleasure.
I'll update people on the next episode if I ever find it. So yeah, thank you. Yeah, if I find it, because otherwise I'm just going to go through all of the sprites in the game.
I was going to say you would just go through the sprites.
I don't remember
I would.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was really easy to see or not. But well, if you don't success, just tell me and I can give you more details.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if the comments will find it. So yeah, it's been amazing hearing about game art, pixel art, Dan the Man, and of course your experience over all these years. And yeah, so designer, thank you so much. Like, you're an inspiration. So
thank you a lot, guys. It was so fun.
Really appreciate it. To the listeners as well, thank you. It's probably another two-parter episode, I think, looking at the recording. We really appreciate you listening and joining us. If you have a favorite Dan the Man animation, any kind of Halfbrick visual detail, anything that you want to see us shout out on the show, you can always email us at theshow@halfbrick.com. If you want us to bring back Toni in another however long, and we can, drill about Dan the Man 2 when time comes, just to talk more about Dan the Man always. Email us. We love the support.
Happy to help if you want.
You didn't say the email.
Sorry?
Did I not say the email?
No, Aiden didn't say our great email.
Oh my gosh. I'm so used to saying it.
Which one is it?
The show.
We have a great email.
We do have a great email.
Yeah. Yeah. And now, since Aiden did my job, I'm going to do the final send off. So we hope this has been an episode that you can look back on with nostalgia. And thank you so much for joining us for this week's episode of the Halfbrick Show.
Coming up next time on the Halfbrick Show.
It's really surreal to see it in VR because you sort of like can see it in game, and it's like it's in your hand. Yeah, it's one
It's
of
like
the
you've
most surreal
crafted it.
experiences. Yeah.